Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Zodiac Signs 6-week mini series. And welcome back to Inspired by Jerica Brochet. Welcome to the channel. If you are new, or if you are jumping into the middle of this series, not really the middle, because this is like the second video, but if you didn't start with the Aries video, you definitely want to do that. So go back an episode and check that out. I'm happy you guys are here. Today we are going to be jumping into the polarity sign to Aries. So if you didn't know, we are doing the series by polarity. So I am releasing 2 videos per week. And the 2 videos that will be released will be polarity signs of the zodiac. So since we kicked things off earlier this week with the Aries sign, today we're going to be talking about the polarity sign of Libra. So I am going to go back through some of the talking points, at least the introductory talking points that I used for the Aries video, just in case anybody again is jumping in either in the middle, or maybe you're watching them out of order or whatever. I just want to make sure that I still hit on some points. So if you want to skip this little introduction, you can. I will try to remember to put the timestamps below so that you can just jump right into everything. But I do think this part is important. So let me do a very, and I mean very quick intro to how the mini series is working. And then we'll also do a quick introduction to astrology overall. And then my thoughts about the signs. So I do practice and study astrology from a traditional standpoint. And so, what that means is that I will only be acknowledging the main 5 traditional planets. Okay. So, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay. And then, of course, the luminaries, which is the sun and the moon. Those 7 together are the only planets or stars that we are going to be discussing in this series. We will not be using Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto. They are not co-rulers, and in traditional astrology, we do not recognize them as rulers of any sort of sign or anything like that. Okay, that's more of a modern astrology take, and I'm not crapping on it, y'all. I promise. It's just, when it's traditional astrology, that's one of the things that make it different from modern astrology, is that we don't include the trans-Saturnian planets as far as rulership goes. Okay, so it doesn't mean they're not important in your chart. Okay, the trans-Saturnian planets are definitely important in your chart and in chart interpretation, but not as rulership. Okay, so let's jump into this quick introduction to astrology and just basically how I view astrology from my perspective. So these are just my personal opinions, okay? It's not like astrological canon or anything like that. But to me, astrology, now this part is fact, okay? Astrology derives from the Greek word astro, meaning star, and logos, meaning language, knowledge, or information. Okay, so astrology is the language of the stars and or the knowledge or information that comes from the stars. Okay, astrology studies the correlation between the movement of the celestial bodies or the planets and the terrestrial events that happen on Earth, and it operates under the universal law of correspondence. So if you are familiar with the universal laws or the 7 laws of the Hermetic principles, maybe through the Kabbalion, or if you study Hermeticism, anything really in like the woo-woo spiritual world, you probably come across some of these spiritual laws. And the law of correspondence is one of them. And astrology beautifully demonstrates this law, which basically gives you that as above, so below, as within, so without idea. And so essentially what we're saying is that the universe is a whole system. And within that whole system are lesser whole systems, okay? And the lesser whole systems actually do function and operate, meaning that they correlate to the greater whole. And that's basically what astrology demonstrates for us. So, what's going on in the heavens is happening on earth. Or if you grew up in church like I did, you know, they say on earth as it is in heaven, right? Same thing. Also, whatever is born or done at a particular moment in time inherently has the qualities of that moment. And astrology describes the nature of those moments. So essentially, there is a time for everything, and there is nothing new under the sun. And in the Aries video, I gave an example of if you've ever been to like a wine tasting, and the wine connoisseur will be able to just taste the wine and tell you the year of the wine. So the year that it was made, or they could tell you what vineyard it came from, or from what part of the world it was sourced from. And astrology basically does that. So by looking at the energies in your chart or your birth chart, an astrologer is going to be able to have an understanding of your overall essence and your energetic makeup. Okay, so let's get into a quick intro of the signs now. So zodiac actually derives from the Greek word zodiakos or zodiakos, which means circle or a circle of little animals. And so the signs are birthed from a combination of interactions between the four elements, which produce the seasons, and the modalities in which they operate. So we know that there are four seasons. Typically, for most parts of the world, we experience four seasons. So we've got spring, summer, fall, and winter. And each season has a beginning, a middle, and a transition. I know you thought I was going to say end, but no, there is no end. It just transitions into the next season. And the beginning, middle, and transition periods is what we call in astrology the modality. And so we are going to talk about the sign of Libra in regards to its modality as well. And last, contrary to popular belief, the signs are not the stars of the show when it comes to your birth chart, but they do spice things up a little bit, and they do give flavor to your chart, to your personality, and your overall essence. So they themselves, meaning the zodiac signs, are really more so environments, or the way that the expression of a planet can be colored. And so the true stars of the show, in a literal sense, which are the planets, are really the true stars of your birth chart. And the zodiac signs that they fall in are the ways in which colors that expression and shows the overall way in which they may be behaving when in a particular sign. Okay, so we are going to be interpreting the signs in four major ways, as mentioned in the Aries video, okay? So the first way is going to be the gender. So is the sign masculine or feminine? Is it yang or yin? Number two, the element of the sign. So is it a fire sign, an air sign, a water sign, or an earth sign? Number three will be the modality. So as we just spoke of, is it cardinal, where it's the beginning of a season? Is it fixed, like the middle of a season? Or is it mutable, like the transition part of a season? And number four is the planetary ruler. We want to know what planet rules that particular sign, or what luminary governs over that particular sign, therefore influencing some of its characteristics. So, everybody on board? Good, good. Let's get started. All right, y'all. Libra, 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 Libra. So the big four for the sign of Libra. The gender for the sign of Libra is yang. So it is a masculine or a yang sign. The element for this sign is air. The modality for this sign is cardinal or tropical, and the planetary ruler for Libra is Venus. So let's jump into the yang or the gender aspect of Libra. So being yang or masculine in nature in regards to polarity, okay, masculine or feminine, yang or yin, Libra has an expressive quality to it. It's going to project its energies. There's going to be this outward or external expression when it comes to Libra. It is also going to be expansive, and yang energy is very direct. Okay, so if we have to consider whether something is more aggressive or passive, Libra is going to be more on the aggressive or the more direct side. Okay, and that is really just a quality of fire and air signs. They tend to be more direct. They're going to be straight with you, no chaser. Okay. All right. And then we have air. So Libra is an air sign. So it's going to have an active quality to it. And that quality, it consists, sorry, stumbling over my words, is going to consist of the hot and moist qualities. Okay. So we learned from the Aries video that you have four qualities essentially, which is going to be hot, cold, moist, and dry. Okay. So moist is birthed from the cold quality, and dry is birthed from the hot quality. And the air element is composed of the active quality of hot and the passive quality of moist. And so that gives air it makes it a lot more pliable, which is different from that of its polarity sign, Aries, that has dry as its passive sign, which gives it more of a rigidity and a resistance. The air element is going to have more pliability to it, malleability, some plasticity to it. It makes the air sign very fluctuating, yet still dynamic because it does have that hot quality. So it's dynamic in the way that a fire sign would be, yet it's more adaptable because of the moist quality to it. Air also tends to be detached. And so because there's such expansiveness to air, it doesn't cling to just anything. So for example, just try to catch air, right? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's impossible. It slips through the fingers, right? You can't catch air. You can't contain it. It's just everywhere. So there can be a little bit of detachment, some restlessness, and it's endless. Like I said, it's everywhere. Like, go outside and try to see oxygen, right? Like, how does that even happen? It's everywhere all the time, right? So it feels boundless a lot of the times. And so, as I stated, the hot quality of air is what's going to give it that active, dynamic, extroverted flavor. And then the influence from the moist quality is what's going to give it that plasticity, the malleability, the flexibility, and the adaptability to be able to change and go from one thing to the next. Now, Libra is also a cardinal sign, or what is also known as a tropical sign. And tropical means turning point. So Libra season marks the turning point time of the year in which autumn or fall takes place. So like the fall equinox, right? Or like the autumn equinox is another turning point. So during Libra season is a time of the year in which the light is decreasing, which is opposite of the Aries time of year, right? Which is spring, where the light is increasing. Um, and then we have Venus. So the rulership for Libra is Venus. And Venus is about cohesion, harmony, bringing things together. It's about attracting things. It's about pleasure. She's about beauty and love, sensuality, and peace. So if you're probably putting together some of the pieces and interpretations already, you can totally see the influence that Venus has on one of her signs that we're talking about today, which is Libra. So let's move on to talk about the essence of Libra energy. So when we merge all the interpretations that we derive from the big four, so we are considering the yang and masculine gender of Libra. We're considering that Libra is an air element. We're considering the modality of Libra, that it is a cardinal or tropical sign. And we are considering the planetary ruler of Venus having influence over Libra. So merging all of that together, that is where we're going to get the essence, the true potent essence of Libra energy and its environment. And so that gives Libra the energy of being able to be objective, um and indecisive. There is, and as I mentioned in the last slide, because air is detached, Libra has a way to detach from the outcomes of things, and sometimes that can cause it to be indecisive. If you're asking a person that has a lot of planets in Libra or a lot of air energy in their chart, they could go either way. You say, hey, what do you want for lunch? I don't know. Like, they're just not overly invested in anything. And that's because of the flexibility and the fluctuation and freedom that cardinal and air light type energies have. So it has the ability to be objective. Libra can see both sides of a situation because it's with that air element, it's often in the realm of thought, the realm of the mind. That's a part of air element stuff, right? Libra also has the ability to, or the characteristic, to be pleasure seeking. That is the Venusian influence on Libra. So Libra tends to seek things that are beautiful and pleasurable. And when you add that air element with Venus, Libran energy requires not only things to be beautiful, but there has to be some intellectual stimulation to it. It has to make sense in some sort of way. So there's sort of a well thought out reasoning that comes behind the beauty and the pleasure that it is that they're seeking. It's not just something they feel they need. There's some sort of mental stimulation or some sort of intellectual take on why Libra is doing what it's doing. It can be codependent, and that is because Libra is a social sign. That's another air element thing, and you'll see that with some of the other air signs, such as Gemini and Aquarius. There is this social aspect to Libra, and because that Venusian influence likes to have cohesion and harmony and bring things together, Libra energy can be very social and wanting to bring the people together and wanting to socialize with people. And sometimes that can develop a bit of codependence with Libra, where they need social interaction. There is a desire and there's pleasure out of experiencing something other than the self, which is another difference from Aries. Libra is very tactful, again, always thoughtful of others, considering others and what they may need and what they may be thinking. And so a part of that Venusian influence is being not are you just being social and communicating with someone with Libra energy. It's going to be in a beautiful, poetic way. So a Libra or a person that has a lot of Libra energy may be very tactful in how they speak, or they may have a nice speaking voice. I myself, I have the moon in Libra and I have the ascendant in Libra. So I have often been told that people like my speaking voice, or they like the way my voice sounds. And that can be because of a very Venusian aspect of Libra having an influence. Um, Judgmental. Libra can be very judgmental as well. And again, that just goes back to seeing both sides of a thing, and that air influence of just always stimulating the mind, just always thinking of things. Hopefully, though, that Libra or the Libra energy is learning when to speak on those judgments and when to keep them to yourself. Okay. All right. So, planets visiting Libra's domain are probably going to be way more expressive, way more sensible. So they'll be more in touch with the sensuality of things, seeing the beauty in things. It may not always necessarily be emotional per se, like water energy, but definitely there is some sensibility to it. There is I think Libra energy has the ability to resonate and to really see things from another person's perspective, which gives them this ability to be like people, or a people person. Planets in Libra are going to be definitely a little bit more social and a little bit more analytical. Now, of course, if you do have more challenging planets such as Mars or Saturn in these areas, it could be a little bit difficult, but do not fret. Number one, Saturn is exalted in the sign of Libra. So you can get a lot of things done if you have Saturn in this sign. But I'm going to try not to go too far into that. Right now, let's focus on Sun, Ascendant, and Moon. If you have the Sun in the sign of Libra, or you have the ascendant in Libra, or the moon in the sign of Libra, you may resonate with a lot of the descriptive words and vocabulary that I'm using here to best depict the essence of Aries. And as I mentioned in the last slide, Aries season, the autumn, this is a time where our heat is decreasing, okay? And so that means that as the heat is decreasing, we have moisture increasing, because where you lack heat, there is probably the presence of cold, and cold births moisture. Okay. And so when it comes to fall, at least in the northern hemisphere, this is going to be a time of year where our nights are getting longer, but our days are getting shorter. And so if you have the sun in Libra, then the sun is actually in its fall. And that is because anytime where the sun is losing light, it's not in the best place, because the sun likes to be radiant and triumphant and on top of things. And so in Libra, it's losing some of that. And that is because, Libra, as I mentioned, is a social sign that considers others, whereas the sun is more concerned with itself. The sun is about the sun. It is the star of the show. It is what everything revolves around in the solar system. So to be operating in a sign that is constantly trying to consider somebody else, the sun is like, excuse me, what about me? So that's definitely something for people who have Sun in Libra. That's something that you may be here to learn. And if you learn it early, if you have a lot of Libra energy, you may learn this earlier than somebody that maybe only has the Sun in Libra. As I mentioned, if you had the ascendant in Libra, you may also resonate with a lot of this, where you feel like you may be a people pleaser, Yeah, or you may feel like you seek some of the pleasures in life, and you may feel like you're often on two sides of something versus just being able to choose the one. You may find that you are very direct, and the same with the moon sign. So check in your chart and see how much Libra energy you have. Do you have the sun, ascendant, or moon sign in Libra? Because if you do, then some of this should be resonating for you already. All right, so now let's get into the polarity sign that we mentioned last week, which is the sign of Aries. Aries is the polarity sign to Libra. And so polarities are just two sides of the same coin, okay? So things that appear to be contradictory or opposite in nature, they really aren't. They're two extremes of the same thing. So they're technically identical in nature, but they do differ in degree. So both Aries and Libra are very alike in a lot of ways, but they do differ in degree. So they're going to be different in a lot of ways too. So the thing that keeps Aries and Libra so the same or identical in nature is the fact that they are cardinal and yang signs, as I mentioned. That is what tethers them together. And so, being very direct, both Aries and Libra can be very direct signs, especially in how they behave and in how they communicate. However, one of their differences is that Libra is a bit more flexible. So Libra can change their mind. They can be direct about changing their mind as well. Okay. Whereas Aries, they're kind of going to will their power to go with what they said. They're going to be direct about it. And they really don't care if it's right. Okay. They're going to act first and think later. And that is one of the differences as well with Aries and Libra. Aries is going to act now and it probably won't think about it at all. Whereas Libra is going to think about things, especially before committing itself to something. And that's where Aries and Libra will probably kind of annoy each other in some instances, because Aries is going to want to move right now. Let's be adventurous and spontaneous. Let's go do this thing. And Libra is going to be like, well, hold on, let me think about it. Let me be a little analytical about this and crunch some numbers or something and think about all the possible outcomes. And that is going to just rain all over Aries' parade. They don't want to hear that. They just want to get moving, right? So that is because Aries is ruled by Mars, and of course is fire, and Libra is ruled by Venus and is air. So the Venusian and Martian influences, as well as the elemental influences, is where you're going to see the stark differences between Aries energy and Libra energy. But the tropical cardinal energy and the yang or masculine aspects is where you're going to see that they are really a whole lot alike. So let's get into talking about where you may have Libra energy to show up in your chart. So on the screen, I have a little cute little Libra rising chart for you. I do want to say though, because of the image or the graphic that I had to use, the glyphs are backwards. I'm sorry about that, but this is a Libra rising chart. So we have Libra on the first house. We are going to go through each of these signs based off of your rising or your ascendant sign, okay? So when I call out Aries, I don't mean if you have Sun in Aries. I mean for Aries ascendant, okay? All right, so let's get started. So if you do have Aries on the ascendant, you are going to experience Libra energy in your house of relationships, which is the 7th house. That is because the 7th house is directly opposing the first house. And again, Libra and Aries are polarity signs, so they do oppose each other. So if you have a Libra ascendant, meaning you have Libra energy on your first house, you are automatically going to have Aries energy on your 7th. So for Aries rising, you are going to see Libra energy manifest in your relationships with others and commitments. So, an Aries rising person may actually be very giving in their relationships. They may be actually very considerate of others. They may think about others and they may want harmony and they don't want fighting in their relationships. And with Aries as the warrior energy, that makes sense. If you're going out into the world and you have to fight battles every day, then when you come home to your relationship, you want it to be peaceful, right? And Libra is definitely going to give that energy. Taurus rising, you have Libra energy on your sixth house of daily routines, the work that you do for a living, your health, and your areas of altruism. So, for the Taurus rising people, they are definitely going to be willing to lend a hand. And you're going to see this Libran energy play out. Probably on the daily. And I could see that for a Taurus rising. And it's very interesting because that means that your first house and your sixth house are both being ruled by the sign of the planet Venus. Gemini rising, you're going to see Libra energy on your fifth house, which is going to be creativity, self expression, where we take risks, where we have fun. And this is fifth house is also the house of sex. So you're going to feel this people pleasing, fair type of energy in your house of creativity. And so for a Gemini rising, you may find that you are very creative potentially, or maybe when it comes to how you like to have fun, you have a Libra approach. Maybe how you raise your kids may have a Libran approach to it. It may be very balanced with beautiful things and the mind, like books and boys, or whatever. Hopefully you get where I'm coming from, right? For Cancer risings, you're going to have Libra energy on your fourth house of family, home, the private self, and the upbringing. So Cancer risings may like to have a beautiful, peaceful home life. They want things to be in harmony. They don't want fighting. They want things to be brought together in their home aspect. And this is the private part of them as well, because the fourth house can be a very private part of the chart. So this may be an area for a Cancer rising that they may not realize that they need. Or for a Cancer rising, consider your upbringing and your childhood experiences and see if they kind of have like a Libra type energy type of experience. Virgo rising, I'm sorry, I skipped Leo. Leo risings, you're going to have Libra energy on your third house. And the third house is where we take in information, how we process information, where we give out information, our local environment, like our neighborhoods or our rituals, our daily rituals. And it's also the house of siblings. So for Leo risings, you may have, what are your relationships like with your siblings? Does it have some of the things that we've described as far as this Libra energy? Or do you feel like your daily routines appear to be very Libra? So for a Leo rising, a regal Leo, maybe you like, maybe you have a beauty regimen or, some sort of, pleasure that you get out of your daily rituals or something like that. For Virgo rising, you are going to have Libra energy on your second house. And this is the house of resources, your earnings, how you spend your money, and anything that you find valuable. So for a Virgo rising, you may like quality over quantity. You may like for things to bring you pleasure that you spend money on. There's going to have to be some sort of the purchase may need to make sense. There needs to be some sort of Libra analytical thought processing that goes into the things that you spend your money on. And that sounds very Virgo. So it totally makes sense for the Virgo risings. Libra risings, we have this on our first house. So we're going to feel this Libra energy very intimately because it's going to feel like it is our essence. It is the self. We're going to feel this in our personality, in our behavior, our vitality, and our health. Being that we come into the world as an air element, we may have dry skin or something like that. Or maybe as a Libra rising, there's something beautiful. Maybe people tend to compliment your features or something like that. Or you may like to pamper yourself, or you may find that you are a little bit judgmental, or maybe you're very fair, maybe you're a little bit detached, emotionally or something like that. Scorpio rising. Scorpio risings, you will feel this on the 12th house, okay? So you'll have that Libra energy a little bit more unconsciously. You know, a Scorpio rising may not resonate much with Libra energy at all, and that's because, well, it's on your house of the unconscious area, right? So when we think 12th house, think like your blind spot in the car. Like if you're driving and something's in your blind spot, you can't see it, but it's still there. Okay. Sag rising, Sagittarius rising, folks, you will have Libra energy on your 11th house of friendships and groups, social gatherings and social interactions. So you guys may feel as though you are the voice of reason in your groups. You know, maybe you're very fair. Maybe you have a way of being the judge. You know, people may come to you to help get a balanced or an objective view when it comes to something. Capricorn risings, you're going to see Libra energy on your 10th house of career, the public self, reputation, responsibility. So for our Capricorn risings, you guys make great leaders because you're going to have this fair, tactful, good customer service sort of energy on your 10th house. So this is the energy that you look to embody when you go out in the world, okay? For Aquarius rising, you're going to have Libra energy on your 9th house of spirituality, traveling, long distance traveling, trips, philosophy, and higher learning. So for the Aquarius rising, you're going to love being able to see all sides of things, especially when it comes to going to the spiritual places. You're going to want to know a lot about a lot of things, but you're going to want to enjoy yourself while you're on that journey. Pisces rising, you are going to have Libra energy on the 8th house of other people's stuff. Okay, this is debt, this is taxes, this is our shared resources, and it's our inner mind. And so for a Pisces rising, you may have this Libra energy felt more psychically. And when I say psychic, I mean like in your innermost psyche, the inner parts of your mind. Or as the Pisces rising, you may find that you benefit from other people's stuff. There is a Venusian influence on that house for you. And so you may find that you are able to share a little bit easier with your resources, and others may be very willing to share their resources with you or something along those lines. So yeah, where do you guys have Libra in your chart? Does any of this resonate for you? If you do not have a copy of your birth chart, you need to get one, and you can get one for free in a lot of places online. But I definitely recommend Chani Nichols's app. So if you have an iPhone or you have access to a phone that has apps, then I definitely recommend you download her app. Or you can check the description box below, and I have a link that's down there where you can get your birth chart drawn up for you. So that is it, you guys. That is the sign of Libra and the polarity sign of Aries. I hope you liked going through these two air and fire signs together. Again, if you have not checked out the Aries video, what are you waiting for? Get to it, okay? Anyway, I am Jerica Brochet with Inspired by Jerica Brochet. I am a spiritual maven, astrologer, certified Usui Reiki master, and a certified integrative healing arts practitioner. And I want you to get to know yourself energetically. So at this time, or at least the time of posting the video, I am offering a simple 30 to 45 minute personality analysis of your birth chart. So if you're interested and you want to book with me, definitely check the description box below. There will be some instructions in there for you, and be sure to follow me on social media. My Instagram handle is right there. It's at msjerib. And that's it, you guys. Next, we will be jumping into another set of polarity signs, getting into Taurus and Scorpio. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.